Right, this is a build video for a Star Wars X-Fighter. Now, I made this up as I go along, so I've tried to give you as many dimensions as possible. It's a fairly easy build. I've used this from sheets of foam that you can buy, which is similar to Depron from in the UK. It's from a DIY store called B&Q, and it comes in 5mm thickness or in 3mm thickness, could be 2mm thickness, but literally it's toilet rolls, foam, some drinking straws. As I say, this is a slope model. I've got no idea if it's going to work, and you'll also, the keen-eyed of you will notice that I've done this as a KFM, so that's a Klein-Fogelman 2, that's top and bottom. Right, follow along. I just literally printed some pictures of some 3D pictures and then scaled it up by eyeball. What could possibly go wrong? Right, let's crack on and I'll show you how I made it. I got literally some pictures off the internet of what roughly looks like. So this is going to be standoff scale X-Wing Starfighter. This is 170 and the tip is 100mm, so 170mm, 100mm. I'm going to cut two of these out and then I'm going to turn these into KFM2s. Right, this is one sheet of the 5mm Depron type foam from B&Q. Now, let me just talk to you about the dimensions. As I say, I've made it up from eye. So basically, this is 170. The tip is 100. We're doing Klein-Fogelman. So if you do it all from one sheet, so one sheet, the main wing in the front, main wing at the back. Remember, the leading edge is straight on the X-Fighter, and we're doing Klein-Fogelman 2. So we're going to be adding a second sheet. So if you cut those two first, that will leave you the angles to be able to flip these over, cut these off, flip these over, and they will go onto here like so. So, remembering that the control surfaces are on the tapered bit, the leading edge is the straight bit. All I'm doing is I've just pre-cut through there. This is 40mm wide, and all I'm going to do is I've run some tape across there from Angel Wing Designs. And now we're going to fold that back. We're going to pop that on there like so. I'm going to get my ruler, pop that on there, get my very sharp knife, there we go, like so, and I'm going to get my sandpaper block. And just keep sanding until you get the desired movement. go. Okay, so I've got my control. I did the control surfaces first because I thought it was going to be easier than when it's mounted on the X-wing. So I've cut, bearing in mind that this is the front, I am cut myself the thickness, and I actually cut a little bit of this off there, and that's 85 in because that's halfway, and that's 85 in. So I'm going to cut them quite big because we're looking to, it's not going to be a complete X, it's a slightly flattened X. Right, so I have added the Klein Fogelmans, which are going on the top. So remember, the Klein Fogelman 2 is, I've done 50% of the tip, 50% of the cord. I'll warn you now, at the previous bit, I'm now going for a 4 aileron starfighter, because if you remember, when they're crossed you have to do one on the left, one on the right. My original intention was just to do 2 elevons on the top. If anybody wants a spare starfighter wing, I've got one. Right, so I'm now just going to put a lovely aerodynamic leading edge on that, and then I'm going to show you how I put them together. If anybody knows the exact dihedral angles for an X-fighter, please let me know. Put in the comments down below. Right, so I have glued the 2 wings together. Apparently Star Wars aficionados tell me this is got to be about 33 degrees. I can't find my protractor, so that looks good. So anyway, that's the wings. I've just hot glued those in place. Just remember, with the Klein Fogelmans, you're just going to have to slightly chamfer those to get those to fit in place. But that seems pretty firm. I might end up having to put some little carbon fibre spars just down where the Fogelman stops. I'll see when I've got it finished. It was a shame, because if it's all white, anyway. So the next thing is fuselage. I've really been scratching my head with this. So as I say, I'm making this up as I go along. There are no plans. This is all just, this is you know, an afternoon's bit of fun. So basically I made a box, and it's 260 long, but I'm planning, let's go back, planning to make the fuselage the length of a sheet of, so the sheet in its length is 790 millimeters. So I have done 2 that are 70 wide, and I have done 2 which are 55. Now, what I've done is I've cut this bit, so that's that they were all one piece at one stage, and I thought this is going to get a bit difficult to make the whole fuselage. So what I've done is I have made a box which is it's 260, and I just made myself a couple of formers. I've got one there which I'm using Yoo-Hoo Pour, by the way, at the moment. So that's the glue I'm using, Yoo-Hoo Pour. This one isn't glued on. And tell you what I've done is I left the back one open, and I just slid that in, marked where I thought it all went, then slid it in, and where it was binding. So remember, the wings are angled, so some of these channels are going to be cut on the outside chamfer, some of them are cut on the inside chamfer. The reason for me just pinning this in place, I've literally pinned it in place, it's not glued, so that gave me some strength to actually cut these channels out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this in. If I'm really happy with it, it's going to get glued in place, and then when I'm happy with it, this one's going to get glued at the back end. Obviously I've left a hole in the middle so I can feed any controls or wires through, which I need to start thinking about already. Anyway, I'm just going to slide this on. I'll let you know how I get on. Oh, this, by the way, the slots are 185. So we're just going a little bit longer than the cord of the wing. The issue I've got at the moment is obviously Klein Fogelman is stepped, so I'm going to have to fill this back bit in. But It's the movies. At what stage do you start making the Star Wars noises? Right, so I slid that on. I've used a little bit of Yoo-hoo pour just for the central piece, just to hold those, get quite floppy, hold those in place. Now what I am going to do is I'm gently going to run down and run a small fillet with hot glue all the way around the edges that I can get to with the hot glue gun, and then I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then the next thing is I'm just going to build the next bit, and then the idea is I'll be able to plug those in. I'm actually thinking now of crash protection as to whether I should make this a big slide-in tube, because what worries me is this hanging right out, is that whether I ought to have something that popped off quite interestingly. So right, I'm just going to stick that on. I'll see you in a tick. Right, so things have gone on quite quickly, and I've got to apologise, but I'm missing a little bit of the film for this. So let me just run this by you. It was dead easy. All I did was that this was obviously the same height as the box that we made, and then I've tapered that down. Now, slightly strangely, whenever you look at the pictures of that's a good one. Whenever you look at the pictures of the fuselage compared to, I've got no dimensions, so it's literally all off the top of my head. And when I look at the wingspan is on this drawing is 50mm, and then when I look at the fuselage, it's 50mm. So the wingspan, the fuselage is the same length as the wingspan. When I did that, it came to about here, looked absolutely weird, and I'll tell you what I've done. So here's my fuselage with the wings. Sorry, here's the wings. Wobble, wobble, waffle, waffle, waffle. Now then, if I take a wingspan, if I go across there, that's 29 inches. Sorry, 750mm. And if I go across there, it's 780. Well, when you take 780 across there, I mean, it comes out here. It was absolutely huge. So I then looked at it across that way, that's 760. But if you go 760 from there, even still, it was massive. So I've taken it down just a little bit, just to make it look a little bit more realistic. I'll pop that in there like so. That's with the fuselage I've made. It even still looks massive. But when I run that across there, that's 740. So it's even narrower than the wings. Sorry, shorter than the wingspan. I mean, originally I had it about here. It just didn't look right. So, and obviously I'm concerned about vertical surface in front of the C of G, because it's just going to act like a massive rudder. So I have cut mine down a little bit. Now, as I suggested, I've made myself a box, which was dead easy. Once I'd made the fuselage, I've literally just made the fuselage sides. Dead easy. All I've done is I've just tapered the three sides. So I've gone from, let me just show you, I've gone from 70 on the bottom surface down to 35, and then the sides are the sides were 55. And they've gone down to 35. I mean, you know, it's standoff scale. I'm not issuing any plans to go with it. It's literally standoff scale. So I've built that. I've got the top there. In fact, actually, hang on a minute. Scrub that. This is the top and bottom. So this one, that one is 70. And that one comes in at 35. So I made two of those at the bottom, and then the slides, and I just literally all tapered it down together. I'm now putting the servos in. I am hard about the servos, about where to put them. My worry was, I thought it would look best if they were underneath, because then you wouldn't see them. But then the issue is you've got the control horn arms are sticking out and possibly going to get caught on the ground. I didn't want them on top, so what I've done is I've stuck them just here. Now, caveat, if you're following this video and think, so well, I'm going to make one of these, the one thing I would say is, before you put the top on, make sure you've got the route or you've got your cables set out where they're going to go to start off with. So they're my servos. I've just covered them in a bit of white tape so they look a little bit more scale. I'm now going to hot glue these in place. I'm now going to have a push rod to this one, and then I'm going to have a connecting push rod to the top one, so they're working together. Right, so I've been mucking around with the push rods and controls, because obviously we want the bottom elevons controlling exactly the same as the top ones. I didn't want to go for 4 servos. This is only a bit of fun. So what I've done is I've installed the bottom servos as I showed you, and what I've done is I have just rigged up a flat plate here and a flat plate here with this little coffee mixing one of these, which I'm going to hot glue into the trailing edge. And what I've done is I've just literally clamped this in place just to see if it works. I mean, that looks brilliant to me. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to stick these, I'll show you in a minute, but I'm going to stick these out the back of the trailing edge. I'm going to hot glue them in, a fair bit of length, then a little hole in the end, and then make myself a little push rod to go between the two. Right, so if there's any engineers out there, I must apologise for what you've just seen, and if young Stanley's watching, that's why you need to be really good at school and be very good at maths, mate, because then, like your dad's shown you, you can work out all the geometry and not have to lash it up like I do. Keep flying, mate. Right, so I have my controls. You can see what I've done there is I have just used some coffee stirrers and made myself a short extension rod there, and that, really pleased with that. Like I say, this is just a little bit of a fun project. Now, the next thing, let me show you what I've done, because I'm about to fit the engines, toilet rolls. Basically, I sprayed the toilet rolls, and just to make it absolutely official, the fake engines are 170, which is exactly the same as the core of the wing. Now, the chord of the wing in the middle, sorry. Now, I've left these open. Listen, I'm a slope boy. I didn't want to spend a load of money on ducted fans for this, because I ain't got it. It's as simple as that. So I like to do stuff on the cheap. So what I have done is, let me show you, is I've added a pad there, and I've added a pad there. The reason being is when I stick the motor on, like the engine on, like so, I get full movement with the controls. Right, so I've added a pad there on the top and on the bottom. That's to allow the engines to sit on. Now, these are just toilet rolls. They're 170mm long, and I'm not putting ducted fans on it. I know a lot of people go, no, put ducted fans. I ain't got the money. I just don't want to be blowing money on a bit of a fun project. Done. But I'm leaving them hollow, because I'm thinking that will give me, because everybody's saying to me, oh, you're going to need some fins, you're going to need some fins. Two things. One, I've got these, I've got holes all the way through, so I'm hoping that's going to give me some little bit of longitudinal stability. Also, I've not tapered the trailing edge. I'll leave that one for you to think about. Right, there we are. One Star Wars X-Wing fighter. She runs in at 220 grams. I am using just two fairly cheap, they are S7.5Ds. Literally, this is just red tape, yellow tape, red tape, yellow tape, and all I've done is I've got these little top tip. These are from KFC, it's Kentucky Fried Chicken, and also hollow, might help with the stability. So there we go. Now the C of G has calculated that it's about 20 millimeters back from the middle, sorry, 20 millimeters back from the leading edge. So who knows, but there you go, there she is, standoff scale. And when the tropical storm has gone through, or whatever they're calling it, which is going to be the end of the world, this is why I'm building this, I will be out to test fly it and as a slope model. So if you've liked that, please like and subscribe. There's more lunacy on the way, and there's some more sensible models coming on the way. A couple of little exciting models from Angel Wing Designs, and an update on the Avanti. All the gears turned up, because I've had to save up for that, but the gears turned up, and we'll be finishing that very shortly. But there you go. May the force be with you.